Hello guys, welcome to Tarot Predictions, and thank you for all being here. So this is going to be the midweek tarot reading. So now while I am shuffling, I like to apologize first for the bad quality of the video. Now I have to work out at least for that stream with Google Hangouts, and the bloody program doesn't give me to access the drivers of my webcam so I can make the settings, and I'm going with the default settings, which obviously doesn't work very well. Anyway, for the next live stream, I am going to start using my usual, my usual software for streaming, and hopefully with it the quality will be much better. So with that being said, let me shuffle the cards, guys, and this is going to be just one draw card for the week, for the midweek. And while I'm doing that, I want to remind you that if you do want a private reading with me, you can always purchase one at www.tarotpredictions.net, which is written here in the post. And as soon as you do that, we're going to schedule an appropriate time for both of us. So now with that being said, I will cut, and we are starting with Aries first. So for Aries, the midweek card, that is going to be the Eight of Swords. And this card, guys, it is only encouraging you to move on forward with your things and with your deed, the way that you are planning it to. Any diversion and deviation of that is going to set you into blockage. Now, one thing to notice about this card is that sometimes we do get a creative blockage as well, and it will be a smart at that time, mainly career oriented here, guys, and mainly orientated for those who are struggling earning a certain amount of money. Now, there is always there is always more than one way to do and execute a certain agenda, a certain thing, a certain responsibility, or a certain project. And this is what you are going to struggle with, Aries, how you can do it better. Now, not that your initial plan, it's something that will not give results. Let's say that you are planning right now in this week till the rest of the week to take on a couple of projects in your career and to kind of like finalize them, and that is going to happen. But with this card, you need to address that there is a better way to do things, and you can find it as long as you are kind of like open to look outside of the box, to take under consideration certain maneuvers or certain approaches that usually wouldn't be very agreed to make. Also, talking about relationships, you shouldn't be very aggravated if well, you're trying to pass something to your partner. You're trying to pass an expression, you're trying to pass an emotions, you're trying to pass a certain opinion, and they don't get acknowledged of it, they don't take a note of it right after. This is happening because with that card, guys, there will be something that is disturbing the communication between you two, and you need to be a little bit more persistent with your implications, and also with your expressions. And under persistent, I mean you need to do a little bit more reps than usual. I mean, you gotta say it a couple of times, 3 times, or any kind of time that you think that this person is dividing for what you have been agreed before. So now for Taurus, that will be the High Priestess, guys, and totally ordinary week. It is what is waiting for you at least until Friday into your career. Nothing unusual is going to happen, nothing way too exciting. This card, especially for career reading, is about one is doing what one is supposed to do, and nothing more, nothing less. So on that note, guys, you will deal with your own things in your job. You will take on the projects that you're supposed to take. Nothing will come up as a surprise to you. And on top of that, with this card, it is how can I place it in words? It is ordinary if you reach a certain insight, if you find out a certain ways of, you know, doing your things that will be a little bit more productive than usual. Now, are you going to do it? That's another different topic. It is because this card is only goes as far as you will have the insight, but maybe you will realize that this isn't the time that you need to do it. This card into relationship, it is something different. However, now this card shows that you and your partner are going to kind of sense one another, if that makes any sense to you, in a term of where you and they are going to sense the absence and the presence of one another. This card usually comes when there is a stronger soul bonding between the two people. Also, for those which are single, this card usually comes as a card implicating that at this point you are not going to meet somebody that you are going to, you know, make a commitment with, but that card shows that the next one that you're going to meet, it's the one that is right for you. I mean, it is the one that can really stir your soul. It is the one that can really make you feel happy and a wanted person. Now for Gemini, we do have the Tower card, and some things are going to transform and basically change for Gemini. And now this card could be a sign, a premonition for that your plans are not going to turn out as well as you are expecting them to turn, or something surprising is going to happen, and you have to kind of like deal with a certain crisis, Gemini. And according to this card, ultimately this doesn't go toward a bad end. What I mean is that, yeah, at the start you will feel stress. At the start of this event, you're going to kind of like, how can I place it in words? You will frantically try to conserve and save the things that you have built. But the truth with that card is that not many things can be saved, is because some things are supposed to not happen, and this is what is going to happen. These things, these activities, for example, or these relationships, these projects that are not supposed to happen, they are going to start disintegrate. And whatever that starts to diminish, whatever in your life right now, I mean, you can plan an activity of yours that it does look like that is not going to happen, is because either you like the finances, or someone is obstructing it, or it's just the time isn't right now. You should not, how can I place it in words, you should not kind of strive to bring it back on its feet. It's because something that is supposed to go away. So till the end of the week, guys, this card comes as a test of yours to accept that basically you cannot fight fate, and you have to go with the flow. So you need to count the blessings which are supposed to happen, and put your back away from you know, put these things behind your back which are basically not supposed to happen. So that kind of looks a little bit, you know, vague, but let me give you one example. Guys, let's say that you're single and you're really having dates with a person. That person seems quite dedicated, and he or she is texting you constantly. He or she is asking you, going out to hang out, going to on a dates and these kind of stuff. And suddenly now on this Wednesday, they stop, and you can't, and you don't hear from them. You don't hear from them today. You don't hear from them tomorrow. You don't hear from them at Friday, and you start wondering what is going on. Well, it's going on that they are moving to the next thing. This is what is going on, and you have to move to your own next thing from there. I mean, it could be painful, but in reality, guys, at the end of the day, you do win in the face of the grand scheme of things. For Cancers, we do have the Queen of Pentacles. Until the end of the week, this card, if it is not a person, then that card urges you guys to explore possibilities that you're throwing away with a light hand. What I mean is that something which, let's say, into your career, there is these small tasks that you are thinking they are unworthy for your attention, probably because you're way too good to take care of them, and you are passing them to someone that is less experienced than you are. And this is that card which is showing you that everything which can give you a certain growth, everything that can teach you into something. I'm sorry, guys, that card glares a little bit. I mean, it's glossy surface, but anyway. So you, Cancer, have to look around in your environment right now, the environment that you have built so far, without glancing toward future opportunities, because at this very moment there are opportunities into your surrounding which you have built but you haven't taken advantage of. And that's why till the end of the week it will be quite crucial for you guys to kind of take everything under account. I mean, reap the fruits of your labor, if this is what that card is. But in general, the card says about consolidating one's position. What I mean is that if you think that you're in a strong position, either into your career or into your relationship, there is something you can do to make it even stronger and to make it even more stable than right now. Mainly for one relationship, that card rather speaks for that you need to make a little bit more comfort into it, and you need to build up a little bit more trust into your partner than usual, by, you know, agreeing with them when you usually wouldn't agree, if you want to say it that way, by showing them that you will be always by their side and these kind of stuff. Talking about career, that card is more oriented about bounding one's guarding one's boundaries, excuse me. So maybe there will be an infiltrators that are trying to, you know, to take away something of yours, which is going to be a minor thing, and most of the people, they will not even bother, you know, to raise the question. But that's the thing, now you need to kind of like raise the question. And my point here, Cancers, is that you should not allow by any circumstances someone to strip out even the smallest grace that you have. And from that being said, you need to kind of like try to take on every kind of opportunity you have missed during the past week or the past 2 days, which were there for you, but because you thought it is kind of unworthy for your attention, you didn't took it. Now for Leo, we do have the Nine of Swords. And guys, this card is rather this card is rather a card that shows you may be frozen into fear to make a certain approach toward a situations. Let's say that you have that proposition which you think you will not be able to manage it. That could be a proposition for a new job, or it could be things you have done in the past 2 days which you think that they will have rather negative impact upon your unfoldment and your growth moving on forward. Now that card is all about a mind games card, guys. That card is all about what you think that may happen and never happens. Okay, so talking about relationships with this card, that card usually expresses the fear what you're going to do without the person next to you, probably because you are quite in love with them, or probably because you do have something to benefit out of them. But the thing is that you'll start feeling that these people aren't for granted, and also they will start feeling that you aren't for granted. That will make you appreciate their presence and their involvement into your relationship even more. And on the bad side of things, I mean, from the different side of things, that will make you feel more afraid, because you will rather, for these couple of days that are coming, you will not kind of see a life without them, and that is going to scare you. But ultimately, in reality, guys, there is nothing that you have to be afraid of. And I'm talking about fear here because true fear, you may be way too afraid to manifest certain things, or to say certain things into one relationship, to say certain demands which you have to say, or to kind of like speak your words, because you are afraid of negative, you know, reaction from your partner, into an extreme state where they may decide to leave you. Now, in career, this card may comes up as a impression that your boss is a little bit rougher than they should be upon you, and through that, you know, through that state, through that state of through that state that you are experiencing a little bit more, you know, rough actions from your boss towards you, you may be afraid that your place in career is jeopardized. And that's not the case. Usually they're either more harsh to their employees because they are short in time, or they are harsh upon you because they see bigger potential in you, but you are not willing to unfold it either way. For Virgos, we do have the Eight of Cups. So this is a typical card where Virgos are going to accept that basically they cannot alter certain situations into their life, and that being said, they are going to completely abstract themselves from those situations, or in other words, they will stop taking any participation in them, and they will redirect the energies and the attitude, the efforts, if you want to say it that way, towards something much more productive. That being said, guys, it will be a couple of days of insights and a couple of days of realizations. Some of you may realize that you're throwing way too much efforts into your relationship, especially those relationships which are in a very initial level. You have to be very aware where that relationship is going to, because this card sometimes, well, in the majority of times into ongoing starting relationships, it shows that you have been deceiving yourself. Maybe you have thought that this relationship will go into marriage or will go into something very beautiful, and it will kind of like improve itself very fast, and suddenly you realize that for the other person, for example, that relationship is just, you know, one of many. It's just something that they occupy their time with and nothing more. And that is going to hurt you in a certain sense, but in reality, there is nothing you can do about it. And you have to focus your, you know, your energy and your efforts toward more productive things that really are going to contribute to your well-being. Talking about career, this card is not that dramatic though. This card comes usually where a certain idea of yours, or a certain, you know, a certain wish of yours to do certain things at your working place are not approved, and you have to find your way around them. Now, find your way around them means that you have to take the longer path toward them. You probably have to cross a certain positions, but in reality, at the end of the day, more positivity is awaiting for you. Now, what I like to say about this card, guys, is that it says one thing, and it says that it is likely that at the end of the day, you're going to find, or you're going to reach what you really want. The question here is what you really want and why do you want it. So in more positive outlook for the Eight of Cups, the Eight of Cups strips you out of things which are unnecessary for your well-being, even though you think that they are quite necessary for that. And if you kind of spend the time to think about it, you will realize that actually, if you are one that breaks into their relationship, Virgos, right now in the next couple of days, and you really put the thought into it, you're going to see that that relationship were a dead end, and you shouldn't kind of like mourn for it nor soar for it, and you should keep on moving toward the next one. For Libras, we do have the Page of Wands, and Page of Wands is a card that in your case, it does sense, guys, that it says you are going to realize in the next couple of days how strong you are on your own, and not leaning on other people, either favorites or favors, or other people resources. So that card, it may come as there circumstances to you, Libras, where you have to deal with your things. And what I'm saying with your things, this doesn't concern a single project in your job, nor your relationship. It does concern your routine. So activities that usually you would rely on the help of others, right now you have to deal with them on your own. 1 second, guys, I just have to do something here. Yeah, I think that now is better. So this reminds me in my old time when I had that computer and I never could install my Windows 8. But one time when my neighbor, you know, were not in home, and we were not at their home, and they could have installed it, I had to do it on my own. And I tried, I tested, and at the end of the day, I did it. So it's something like this, you know, you need to, with a certain experiments, you need to deal with things in the next couple of days that you would usually require help for, or require assistance for. And this time, the assistance for a certain reason is not going to come to you, so you need to deal with them on your own, and you're going to find out that you're pretty good at it, and you will no longer be dependent on these people, or on these resources, or on these circumstances. That being said, into your career, guys, that could be your partner, for example, a partner in work where you're both working on a certain project and they do have a certain responsibilities upon the project. You do have your own responsibilities upon the project. They are taking a few days off, and you have to deal with their responsibilities as well, and that could come tough to you. Or into your relationship, it may be that right now your partner is incapable to give you a hand with something, or there is a big misunderstandings in between you two, and you just have to deal with your things alone for the next couple of days. But nonetheless, guys, Libras, you are about to find out that you are more strong than you thought you are, and that you can be more durable, and at the end of the day, you know, you can cope with more things that are coming in your way that you have thought you can cope with, and that ultimately leads to a bigger personal independence. For Scorpio, we do have the Page of Cups. So with the Page of Cups, guys, that will be a 2 days of self-reassessment. That will be a 2 days of really thinking and analyzing what one can do with themselves to improve by staring at the big picture of things. We're not talking about here, if you are talking about your career, we're not talking about here of a single project and how you're going to approach a single project. We're not talking about how you're going to approach a single situation into your relationship. We're talking about you scaling the big scheme of things, you scaling how far you can go into your relationship, you scaling how far you can go into your career, and manually scaling it from your own personal perspective. We're not talking here how much you can contribute for one company, let's say, that you're working at. We're talking about how much the company contributes towards you, which means that you may reach a realization that this company has nothing to offer anymore for you, and you may start planning your leave. You may start planning applying for new jobs and these kind of stuff. Talking about your relationship, you may realize that, you know, this relationship is bringing you not as such excitement as you thought it is bringing you. You may start thinking that your partner has changed in a certain way, or the relationship has shifted in a certain way, Scorpios. Given that Jupiter is born now into the sign of Scorpio, that could be quite cleansing, and that could be quite, you know, huge improvement into our lives, in the sense that we can clear some dead weight in our path. Now, I'm not talking about that you need to leave your relationship. Just on the contrary, guys, with this card, you should show a bigger understanding. What I mean is that maybe this relationship is shifting, Scorpios, because you're not giving the sense of intimacy or the sense of emotional attachment that you have, but you're not showing it towards your partner. And that's why you need to have that self-awareness, that self reassessment, how you perform. Because if your relationship isn't performing very well for you, well, maybe you are not performing very well for the relationship. And it all comes to the personal understanding and personal perception of that. But at the end of the day, you need to know that with this card, guys, whatever you are after, it can be achieved. It is just the only thing that it is obstructing us as a Scorpio is that if we're throwing way too much resources toward details that are meaningless for the end goal, or in other words, we have been way too stubborn and we don't want to kind of like expand our vision, if you want to say it that way as well. The next one, that will be Sagittarius. Now for Sagittarius, we do have the Four of Swords, guys. So with the Four of Swords, this will be kind of peaceful couple of days moving on forward. Peaceful in a sense that the difficulties that you may have until now, difficulties into your career and into your relationship, they will magically, miraculously disappear. They will not have effect upon you. So let's say that you had that difficulty in your projects, but let's say that you needed, you know, additional finances for them. Well, right now, this is not going to be an issue for the project anymore. Not that because the finances came, but because there is something different that happens which does not require those finances to be at the plate right now in this very moment. That is a time where you need to start contemplating upon your continuous plans moving on forward. Now, this card is rather more for it has more reflection toward one heal himself from the stress, one heal himself from the from the tension into one career or into one relationship. It is not excluded, guys, with the Four of Swords, that one may kind of require a little bit detachment from the relationship, in a sense that they can start talking with someone else. They can acquire a different points of view of a certain situations, if you want to say it that way. But in the majority of cases, the Four of Swords rather speaks for a granted time, one to catch up their breath and to prepare for the difficulties that are yet to come, because the difficulties, they haven't disappeared completely. I mean, they are they are slumbered right now, they are sleeping, if you want to say it that way, but they will emerge once again. And this, with the Four of Swords, is a time where you need to take better where you have to prepare even better to face them when they come. And the best way to prepare for those difficulties that are going to kind of like swirl upon you again is to take on a different perspective, is to talk with someone that is way more experienced than you are, because there is always someone like this, you know. Because I like to play video games, and I like to, you know, watch people playing video games, and there is that guy I really admire, but I will not say its name, who says no matter how well you perform, you need to know that somewhere in this world there is someone which is going to do things faster than you, and it's going to do the things better than you do. And you need to find such a person and to talk with them, so you can find out about their secret and about their magic. Now, the Four of Swords is a card showing that you need to find your own way through contemplating upon your difficulties by taking on a different perspective and learning from it. For Capricorns, we do have the Fool card. So with the Fool card, the next couple of days are going to be quite exciting. There will be a lot of new activities and bunch of crazy ideas that are going to swirl in the Capricorns' minds. Now, every idea kind of is going to seem silly. Some of them are going to be quite sluggish. Some of them are going to be quite brilliant, but what will be in common with all those ideas, guys, that they will seem kind of out of touch with reality. They will seem immature in the sense that they kind of being planted in our version of society, or rather like our version of society is going to find them very, very stupid. Now, this should not kind of like constrain you. This should not put a boundaries upon your execution. What you need to know is that these ideas could be quite brilliant, and these ideas could really give you something to live with, something to strive toward. Now, that being said, guys, the Fool card could be a new, let's say, you know, a new meeting with someone that is quite interesting for you, that is explaining you for a quite different world that they're living in, and you will have the urge to experience that world, which there is nothing wrong with it. But in general, that card, especially when it comes to human communications, it does urges you to be a little bit more carefree. It does urges you to be a little bit more trustful toward the people that you're communicating with. It's because it is what is going to pay off. Now, this card is also urging you, especially talking about career, is to experimenting a little bit more, to create, or kind of like to throw yourself into a creative chaos and trying one thing after another, seeing what works best for you. Because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter how certain people perform. It doesn't matter what certain people do. What matters is what works for you. And the next couple of days, especially for your career, this is what you're going to try to find out: what works best for you, which people are best for you to hang with, which people are best for you to side with, which approach is best for your projects. And if we're talking about your relationship, this card kind of reflects the experimenting the soil, if that makes sense to you. So you will say one thing, and you will kind of like try to see how your partner reacts on it. They may be quite hostile, they may be quite friendly about it, and this is all about, you know, trying and experimenting how your partner are going to accept your ideas, how your partner is going to accept your you know, your wishes and your desire, and which of them are going to be acceptable and which not. And through that, guys, you will try to breathe some new winds into your relationship. You will try to make the relationship a little bit more agile, in a sense that it isn't boring, it is not all the same every single day. So this card kind of implants new activities, but new activities through experimenting, according to your partner, which one of them are acceptable and which one of them are not acceptable. For Aquarius, we do have the Nine of Wands, and that will be very exhausting end of the week. Not because, guys, things around you or or kind of like the projects, especially career-wise, are way too consuming for you, but because you will have the affinity, or rather like you will have that urge to do more and more and more, one thing after another. And the only thing that really is going to give you a hard time, it is your impatience itself, because you will want to, I can't say that this is about for you to prove something to somebody. This Aquarius is about you proving something to yourself, that you can resist the stress, you can resist the tension. You are better than what other people think you are. It's about you proving something to yourself which you don't need to. Now this card, it is rather for you guys to be a little bit more patient. Everything comes with its time. You don't have to stray toward countless or numerous you know, activities, especially coming into your job and into your career. What I'm trying to say is that in the next couple of days, maybe this card could play out as a that you will be a very important person, in the sense that everybody will seek your opinion, everybody will seek your attention, everybody will seek your help, and just because you can't say no, you'll attend to every single one of this, and this is why you are going to feel exhausted at the end of the week. And there is a quite big chance that you will not be able to finish even your own stuff. That's why you need to arm yourself with quite a patience and quite a resilience, not to divide from your own personal path. Now it is very important, guys, to realize that if one opportunity reveals itself towards you, it is not a real opportunity if it doesn't linger for more than, let's say, a couple of weeks or for a month. So it is not like, if you don't take it today and in this very moment will go away. Instead of that, it is best for you to first finalize your ongoing things right now before you start paying attention toward other people's agendas and toward other projects. It is very important, because you will have barely enough energy to finalize your things and your own personal projects before you go for a well-deserved rest during the weekend. Talking about relationship, guys, this card shows that you need to resist rather more the bullshit of your partner, in a sense where they will be much more emotional. They will be a drama queens, if you want to say it that way, and one wrong step from your behalf, like saying something inappropriate, like being harsh, not thinking what you are not thinking twice what you are doing, it may throw them into a state where even they could jeopardize your relationship. And that's why it is best for you this week, especially relationship wise, is not to take any drastic measures, not to say any drastic, nor placing an ultimatums. Now if you, Aquarius, place an ultimatum this week, that will be very, very bad. I mean, you need to know that there is a better chance for you the answer to be negative than a positive. Now again, it does depend on your personal situation, but the chance, it is rather this card favors more the negative chance than the positive. What I'm trying to say is that till the duration of this week, guys, do not bet to a kind of like, do not gamble to a bet where you have to I place all for nothing, you know, because at the end of the day, all in should not be your strategy here, not at all. And for Pisces, we do have the King of Swords. Until the rest of the week, especially Pisces, if we're talking about your career, this will be a couple of days and even 3 days where you have to take on a quite big responsibilities. And these responsibilities are not going to be a physical responsibilities. These are going to be a shot calling responsibilities. So you will be probably asked for opinion. You will be probably asked to take a certain decision, especially talking about your career again. You have to show yourself as someone who is ready and worthy to take a position of a great authority and of a great respect. And through that, you need to be stone cold minded. What I mean is that you should not infiltrate your emotions into your career. People does not want to see or know what you feel toward your projects. They don't really care about that, especially your bosses. They want to see how professional you are. Your bosses, Pisces, they want to see how you react under stress, and does stress influence your judgment? Because this what will matter for them the most till the rest of the week. And your judgment needs to be founded on a quite well quite well shaped proofs and quite well shaped, but what is the English word here, guys? It's not just proof but facts. Okay, so that being said, you should not by any circumstances take decisions based on your emotional commiserations and emotional agitation. You should take decisions only based on what logic dictates you. Talking about your relationship, Pisces, with the King of Swords, this card, if it is regarding existing relationships, speaks that you will have more physical attraction towards your partner. Simply, you will want them more, okay, and they will also want you more. And if we're talking of something outside of a relationship, I mean you being single, this card speaks for a suitor, but suitor which is completely for the sex without strings, or in other words, friends with benefit kind of a relationship, rather than something serious and a serious commitment. It's because they are all about having fun and they don't want to take responsibilities because they already have enough responsibilities. And also they are kind of like, well, how can I place it in words? Well honored into their society, and right now they don't want to change that, as one commitment could very quickly change their place, which is a place of authority. So that was the tarot reading for the midweek, guys, and I really apologize for the quality of the video. As I said, for the next live, I will try to make my video camera driver runs well and smooth here, so we can have much better quality and not that disgusting frame rate, which is kind of like, I don't know, 10 frames per second. Anyway, that being said, guys, I hope you enjoyed it, and if it's helpful to you, and if it is, please like and share the video if you can, and also don't forget to subscribe here at Tarot Predictions for more content. And if you do want a private reading with me, you can always book one at www.tarotpredictions.net, which is written here in the description of the video. And as soon as you do that, we are going to schedule an appropriate time for both of us to perform the reading. And that being said, guys, it was a pleasure to give you this foresight, to give you these predictions, and we are going to see each other very soon. Until then, you take care now, and bye.